Well, I predict that we're going to strike gold with our next interviewee, Fine Minerals International. They are here as usual at the 2023 Munich Show, have a fabulous booth as usual. So let's go in and see some of the special things that Danny Trinchillo has brought to the Munich Show. Come on. Here we go with Fine Minerals International. There's the man right there.
There he is,
Daniel
Brian.
Trinchillo. How you doing, brother?
I'm great.
Great to see you, man. How you been?
I've been well.
You look good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. How's it? How was the trip out here to Munich?
It's been great. I've been here for 3-4 days, running nonstop as always. Munich is always an intense show.
Yeah.
But you get to end the day at Hotel Bauer and have amazing food and venison and steak and
the best thing about that is you have a great wine, you have a fulfilling meal, then you just stagger upstairs and you crash out.
You go to bed, you relax and recharge and restart. So
exactly.
Let me show you some beautiful things.
Absolutely, man.
So here we have this pyromorphite from Daoping. Outstanding color.
The color is just superb.
It's just intense. That apple green color, that pocket just can't be beat. One of my favorites from that location.
It's just a beacon from across the room.
Yeah, you can see it from 20 meters. I have to use meters when we're here in Europe.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Exactly. Which, for whatever reason, we always use centimeters when we're talking about minerals, even in the U.S. I don't know. It's the international standard.
To me, it makes more sense because it's like, fractions. Everybody sucks at fractions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So look, that's 5 3/4.
It's like,
This is one of those original Kenziku mines, or Kenziku, in Fujian province, which has the phantoms inside, and you can see it's hard to see there's an octahedron in there. When you backlight it, it's an amazing silhouette within the crystal. So that modification and the super geometry is something I love. So I love that. In Europe, you also have to have a classic Kongsberg calcite.
Well, when you're in Europe, you definitely need these.
When in Rome.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful piece.
And then another star in this case is the Bornonite.
See, I was going to go directly to this because, I mean, this thing is just crazy. I love that little fluorite right up on the top there.
Yeah, you've got a fluorite in the front, bottom right. You've got the one that just perched on the crystal. And like the sort of stair-step mountainscape of the termination is just brilliant.
I love it.
Together with the chalcopyrite and the quartz. This has gotten huge attention here.
Of course.
Well, people are recognizing that it's uncommon. I mean, Bornonite that's, almost 4 inches across, or almost 10 centimeters across.
Come on, we got to say with the metric.
So there you go. Beautiful piece.
It is just a superb piece. How long have you had that?
I've probably had it for about 2 years.
Okay.
And, you never know why things sell or don't sell, but I think that it's getting a lot of attention now because they were coming out for a minute.
Uh-huh.
There was like a discovery where probably there were a dozen on the market in varying levels of quality, none that good that I'd seen. They saved one that was a bit better, but it was isolated, didn't have the associations. Okay. And then they all disappeared. And so now people are like, oh yeah, I get it. That's amazing.
It's so funny because so much of mineral collecting is at hindsight,
Oh,
they come out and it's like, oh, they're common, so nobody pays attention. And then they become rare and everybody tries to find them.
Exactly. It's becoming less and less though, I'd say, because I'm seeing things coming out contemporarily, even in mass, and the top pieces from those discoveries are trading at exponents that are surprising for a new discovery, and also they're just gone instantaneously.
Well, okay, so in a situation like that, recently we've had quite a few situations where there have been fake minerals.
Oh yeah.
And people have moved on it before it could be verified, and some people
like the blue hemimorphites that we wrote about, that we did.
Great example.
There was another example that happened recently too. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was the same sort of deal.
Right.
And they put things together. I don't recall. If I think about it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can talk about it.
But I mean, how can collectors navigate that field when things first come to market and dealers are offering it and saying, they're legitimate?
I think you need to get a consensus of the major dealers.
Okay.
And when it looks too good to be true, it usually is. I saw an emerald that was offered to me here as an example. Came from an old collection. It looked like a Hotazel rhodochrosite. So just a million little micro crystals on a knob that looked like almost like the snail style, but a little bit larger, like 2-3 inches in diameter, and a total covering, right? Someone took the time and patience to find at least 1,000 micro emerald crystals and glue them all at the base, making this sphere and dome. And I mean, it was obvious when you saw it, something looked fishy.
Right.
And then you put a light over it with a UV light and you see all the glue around it.
See all the glue, yeah, okay.
And you go from there. But as far as, you know, those things happen often and you have to buyer beware and look, but those are the one-offs. But for a discovery to be totally inauthentic is unusual. I would say that the outliers are these 1-2 examples.
Right.
And just sort of, you know, deal with dealers that you know are going to not have, because if a small dealer buys something, they invest their money, they sell it to you, having recourse for that small dealer is going to be more difficult.
It's going to be impossible almost.
Because it hurts them at the same time. So that even though the dealer might have been, you know, duped, so to speak, it's hard for them to recuperate something like that. Whereas if you buy them from the major dealers, they have more of a wherewithal to weather a storm like that.
Sure.
But more than anything, try not to end up in that situation by asking enough dealers what they think about a new discovery.
Yeah.
So like the green fluorites that are coming from Peru that I'm sure you've seen over the last
of course.
year and a half, right? Those are a prime example of that totally authentic, variations in colors. You know, people when they first came out were like, they were, you know, they were confused by the fact that there were like 5 different color shades.
Okay.
And thinking, you know, were these treated? Are they natural? Are there variations? But if you look at the colors relative to the matrices, which are everything from pyrite to geochronite to jordanite to sphalerite, depending on the elements that were present in these individual pockets, you had these variations in colors. And so it's all natural.
So if you can find the relation between the color and the association, then that
can help.
That's
that
the
can be an indication. Yeah. And, you know, always beware of something that you historically know and now is suddenly drastically different. So like those blue hemimorphites, no one had ever seen anything like that.
Right.
You'd seen the clear ones. So that was sort of a...
Got me.
Yeah, and that was one of the most significant examples. There was another example. I can't think of it right now. It just happened within the last few months.
I know what you're talking about. I was having this conversation the other day with somebody.
One that I can tell you is I saw silvers from Morocco.
Okay.
And they were cubic silvers, which is a rare habit.
All right.
Poorly formed in groups, but groups like this with like 100 cubes.
Wow.
Really pseudo sharp, kind of weird luster, but there was a box full of them and they all looked identical. Big red flag.
Right.
Minerals
Too uniform.
Don't happen like that. Yeah, they don't happen like that. I mean, they were the same mineral, carbon copied with a 3-degree separation of difference, and that's too similar.
So it's almost like trust your instinct, trust your gut.
Trust your
instinct. If something feels off,
if something feels off, be cautious and ask people who have a lot of experience.
Sure.
You know, I've been doing this for 30 plus years at a high level. I have seen a lot, so I can give you some aspect just from having seen a lot. Other dealers can do the same. Collector's Edge, Arkenstone, Crystal Classics, Marcus Budil, all of them. So,
good points.
MCP, Pizzota. And that's a good also resource, is go to MCP, go to the labs, talk to Mile High, show Sandor, show Federico Pizzota, show Paola. They can give you aspect as to, this looks right. No, this doesn't look right. So this is another showcase that we have here where it highlights some of our finest examples. In the back, you can see the classic Urucum morganite.
Yeah.
An incredible piece. These are super hard to find in a really fine quality. You see examples here and there, but having it on the matrix of the white albite coated with the black shurls and with the little sprays, if you can see, in the tourmaline that grew on the phantom line. So you have this phantom of the crystal inside, which is a little bit more saturated. That was the first level of growth. Then there was a pause. Then the tourmaline crystals grew. And then you can see the last 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch of the morganite grows on top.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's wild.
So
it's a phantom where another mineral entered and then the crystal started.
And then it continued.
There was a paragenesis of growth for the last 3/4 of an inch. This is a Tignal amethyst that looks very reminiscent of Jackson's Crossroads. Exactly.
Jeez,
ultimate quality.
Just great.
Yeah, for this location, that's the bar. But what you can tell is different is the matrix. The Jacksons have the little white quartzes, which preferably I like better. But for this locality, there's been like 1 or 2 discoveries. And this was found by a couple in the 70s that found one pocket on a weekend hunting. They bought the whole pocket home and kept it for like 25 or 30 years. And when they passed, they gave it to their kids and they sold it. And I got it through another dealer who's local in that area. And this was by far the best piece.
I love those stories.
Yeah, super fun. And then these barytes from Nador.
Right.
Nador, sorry. They're beautiful. I love these blades and the soft, delicate blue. It's just outstanding. Of course, gorgeous aquamarine up in the top from the blue mine in Dasu.
Love that. Look how clear that is.
Yeah, it's water clear. You can see the refraction of the albite crystals through it. It's super cool.
That's superb.
And then another European classic, the Fosgenite from Italy, Sardinia. Arguably the finest in the world. Not the finest piece, but this is the finest location in the world, Montepone,
Okay.
for Fosgenites. And that is an exceptional piece from there. The geometry and the transparency is really great. Yeah, beautiful stuff. You want to go in the back and look at a couple of interesting
Do I?
special-
Do I?
Let's go. So this is sort of where I keep a couple of things that we show privately to clients. We don't have as much as we have in Tucson, obviously.
The endless vault?
The endless vault, the vault that never ends. But just a few pieces from our back room. I'll show you this book first. So not a lot of people know, or maybe they do, I don't know, that I collect mineralogical memorabilia, and I have a extensive mineral library. And, you know, a lot of people don't appreciate the history that goes into mineral collecting as much as just the incredible, beautiful objects they see in showcases. And so I was accustomed to seeing this parallel collecting of memorabilia and books at the same time as collecting minerals as exposed by my predecessors like Herba Boda and like Olaf Maidenbach for instruments and a bunch of other people in the community. And so I started collecting books probably 20 years ago and instruments. And this is an exceptional find. I found it here. It is a book from 1788 that documents the parade outfits that the different classes of miners would wear. And every one is hand painted. You can see the pigments on the page as they move. They used gold and silver in some cases.
The vibrancy of the images.
Vibrancy, the
I mean,
quality.
It looks like it was printed yesterday.
The quality of this book is extraordinary. It was coveted by who had it, and you know, I only know of two copies. One earlier that was printed in 1721, which is actually a bit more common, the number of copies, and then this one in 1788. And I mean, you can just see there where like the mine management staff would be decked out completely with an axe, and then it would go down in ranking to the smelters, which we can find like over here. Let's see if I can find a smelter. There were geologists. There were the people who found water.
You know, and it's so interesting. This is such a part of the culture and history here in Europe.
Yeah.
We don't have a similar thing in America.
No, well, it's the history of mineralogy.
Exactly.
And so it's worth preserving. And, you know, I love it. I actually just, you know, it's this nice add-on when you can't find an incredible mineral at a show or you don't have something to buy, you can find an incredible book or an instrument. And so for me, it's a great pleasure.
Okay, so which costume are you going to wear for Halloween?
I don't know. I was thinking about it. There's this guy. That guy's pretty good, but I
just like the axe that is.
The axe is fun. The axe is fun. It's a great book.
That is superb. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. This might be the part on the smelting. I mean, look at the ornate outfits. I mean, they took pride in being miners and being associated with mining.
Yep.
So there you go. And the binding is all antique and original. You can see it's contemporary to the time. So it's not, you know, been meddled with over the years, which is a thing to look at for books.
Nice.
So let me show you some minerals because I know.
All right.
That's the main event here. So in this box, I have a few pieces that I'd like to show. This is a gold from Eagle's Nest, the mine that where we're working. It didn't come out from our time.
Okay, I was going to ask if it came out recently.
Unfortunately, we haven't hit anything of substance yet. Little tiny things and a bunch of mill gold that we're using to help pay for the operations. Yeah. But we're hoping we get to this stuff. I mean, this is what it's all about.
God, I love the asymmetry of how it's poised there on the matrix.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And has luster on both sides and has this little quartz crystal.
Oh, that's super.
Growing into it.
But that's
which
so
tells
bright
you
and shiny and happy.
It's indicative that, you know, it's grown into the quartz, but this part grew freestanding out of the quartz.
Okay.
So it wasn't etched out.
Right.
You can really tell when they've been etched out and when they haven't. And when you see these complete...
It's the shininess, right?
Well, it's the luster.
Okay.
It's the really sharpness of the crystals, and it's also the transparency and like actual structure of a quartz crystal in a hexagonal shape that like is an indicator like, okay, this was like a micro pocket closed within the vein, and it popped out and you were able to find this piece. It was exceptional.
That is a beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's great.
Shoo.
Next thing I want to show is a classic tanzanite. I love tanzanites, and I think we all do as a species.
Yeah.
And, you know, what this one has going for it is that classic red color. I don't know if we can get it on camera.
Yep.
Not a big piece, but outstanding, the color. And then over here you get the classic blue and the purple.
Yeah.
So love that.
But I mean, the aesthetics of that crystal, just the size,
geometry, yeah.
is super.
Well, that's what I like about it. It's equine. I mean, we make these bases so that you can put a light underneath,
Right.
and we have a whole display system. And you can take that off if you want, but it just sits ever so nicely. And its geometry is fantastic. Beautiful
That is
crystal.
superb.
Yeah, I love when they're blocky and thick like
Right,
this.
yeah.
It just gives a certain saturation. And it usually gives them a bigger surface area for the termination, which then allows you to see the red. The ones that come up like blades,
Yeah.
the termination tapers so much till it's almost like just a few sheets of paper that the facets on it, it doesn't mean it doesn't show red, but you can't see it, because there's nowhere to reflect it.
Right.
So that's why I like these blocky ones. And then last is a Colombian emerald, which is always a treasure.
God, look at that.
Hard to find emeralds that are exceptional. This is an extraordinary one since it's on the calcite and has the right color.
Is this out of a collection or out of the ground?
No, it's out of the ground probably in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're finding things occasionally that are great quality.
That is a great piece.
That's
Look how clear that is.
Yeah, you can look down the C-axis and see. They could cut a stone out of it, but happily they didn't.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
So there you go.
Superb.
That's Munich.
Daniel, thank you
Thanks
so
so
much,
much.
brother.
Got
Looking
you.
forward to catching up with you in
In
Tucson,
Tucson.
which is...
Like 3 months from now.
It's tomorrow,
Happy
man.
holidays, everybody.
All right, thanks, brother.
All right, thank you.